Hello students, let us continue the discussion on units and measurements. In the last session we took up errors. We saw so many different sources of errors broadly classified into two types, systematic error and the random error. So different sources for systematic error, different sources for random error, and finally we also looked at what is least count error. Those are all the discussions and more like theory part of error. And in this session, we are going to discuss about the mathematical representation of errors. Okay, so we'll take the mathematical or numerical, okay, mathematical or numerical representation of error. See, finally, whatever the measurement that we do will have certain error in it, isn't it? And that error should be represented. How do we represent that error? Means, like say, if I am measuring 1 meter length, I might get 1 centimeter error in it, isn't it? If that is the situation, then I should say my error in the measurement is 1 centimeter. But that's one way of expressing the error. There are different ways, because I can say there is 1% error in the measurement, 10% error in the measurement. I can also express it in percentage way and in the numerical way. So basically we have three ways, okay, to represent errors mathematically. Okay, we'll see all the three ways of expressing errors mathematically. The first way of expressing errors is absolute error. This absolute error is very easy, okay, absolute error. That's it, very simple. See, whatever the measurement we do will have a standard value, which is also considered as true value of the measurement. We all know that, right? We have discussed about it in the last class. Say the same example, if I want to take 100-gram toothpaste again, if I measure it in a weighing scale which I have in the home, it might show me 98 gram, which means what is the error shown in the particular measurement? The error shown in the particular measurement is 2 gram, isn't it? So we have 2 gram of error. So that we need to mention absolutely, the same value shall be retained absolutely. So that itself is absolute error. What is the value of the error here? Value of the error is the difference between the true value and the measured value, isn't it? But not only the difference, it's the magnitude of difference. Why magnitude of difference particularly? See, when I take if the reading is 98 gram for 100 gram standard value, then the error is 2 gram. What if the reading is 102 gram? Will that be minus 2 gram? No. The error is always taken as the magnitude of the error is important. 2 gram error is obtained there. Okay, that is how we think of the situation. So when I take absolute error is the magnitude. Okay, magnitude of difference between which two values? One is measured value and true value. Okay, what we measure will have error. How do we get that? By comparing it with the true value. If the true value and the measured value are equal, the same, then no error, right? If the measured value is different compared to the true value, then there is error in it. Okay, so the magnitude of difference between measured value and true value, measured value and true value is taken as absolute error. That itself is absolute error. Clear with this? So this is one way of expressing errors. The first way, which is the absolute error. And here the value can either be given, the value, what value? The true value. Okay, true value can either be given or shall be obtained during the experiment itself. Just as an example, see, in the previous example that I took, 100 gram toothpaste, so the true value is given, the true value is 100 gram, it is fixed. Okay, but in certain experiments, in certain measurements, we will not have the true value given. Okay, there will not be true value given. For example, say if I have a stick of certain length, a stick of certain length will not have any standard value, standard length or true value of the length for a stick. It won't be there, isn't it? In that kind of situation, what we need to do to get the true value, we ourselves need to get the true value. Okay, so here true value is either given, okay, is either given or calculated using n number of measurements, which means, see, this part is easy. They themselves will give the true value, very easy. So this much is the true value, that's finished, no need to worry. 100 gram toothpaste, 100 gram toothpaste, finished. But if they have not given the true value, they have not given the standard value of the quantity, then we need to take n number of readings, so many number of readings, and all those readings shall be put together to get the mean of them. Okay, I hope you know mean, mode and median. So now it's about taking the mean of n measurements that we do. Okay, just as an example, we had a stick, right? We don't know what is the true value of the measurement or true value of the length of the stick. Then what we do, we take one reading, I get some value, I'll take one more reading, some other value with little deviation, third reading, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and so on. N number of readings, sometimes 10, sometimes 20, sometimes only 5, sometimes only 3. So these many readings are taken according to the situation, and mean, average, okay, mean or average of all those readings are considered to be the true value of the measurement. Clear with this? So true value is either given or calculated using n number of measurements. Clear? So when it is given, it is easy. We will take the true value, compare it with the measured value. That will give us the error. When we do not have true value, we need to measure the quantity n times and get the true value by taking the mean of those n values, and then that mean itself acts as true value. Clear? Fine. So let me take the example for this so that it becomes clear for you. Okay, for true value, like 100 gram toothpaste, okay, it's a standard quantity which is directly given, but this part calculated using the measurement is somewhat like measuring, okay, measuring length of a stick, measuring length of a stick. So it will not have any standard value or true value given. We ourselves need to get the true value. How do we get that? We'll measure it n times and get it. As an example, if the length of the stick that we get with say 5 measurements, for example, I'm going to take 5 measurements, 5 readings. First reading I get it as 0.5 meter. The second reading I get as 0.552 meter, and the third reading that I get as 0.51 meter, and I also get a reading 0.48 meter. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and finally I'll have one more reading, 0.54 meter. These are the different readings that I get for the measurement of the scale. Yes, it is possible. Okay, if I measure the same quantity again, there is possibility that I can get a little deviation in the value in the measurement. So that itself is this. So for totally 5 readings are taken. So out of these 5, which reading shall be considered as true value? Now that's the question. All of these are right itself, all of these are proper measurement values, but which should be considered? Which one among these should be considered as the true value? True value is considered by taking mean of all these values. How do we take mean? We add all the quantities and divide it by number of quantities. Which are the quantities we have? 0.5 plus 0.52 plus 0.51 plus 0.48 plus 0.54 divided by 5. Okay. So if you add all of them, you will get certain sum. Okay, and the sum is going to be it's going to be this balances with all 0.55. So it's 0. Not 0 point, it's 2.55 by 5, which is going to be 0.51. Okay. So 0.151 meter is the true value of the measurement for this set of readings. Okay. Because they did not give us the true value, so ourselves need to get the true value. How do we get that? We take the readings and take the mean of those readings, and hence we will get the true value of the reading. Clear with this? So this is how we get the true value when the true value is not given to us. And that is this is everything about absolute error. It is just the difference. And how do we represent absolute error? Okay. Say I have a measurement, say length itself, no. Say now for the first measurement, okay, I will take the first measurement. The first measurement is 0.5 meter, right? So for the first measurement, I should write it is 0.51, right? What is the error between them? What is the error in the first measurement? You should look for the error in the first measurement. So error in the first measurement is 0. Difference between these two. Okay, that itself is absolute error. Okay, see for the first reading, the error, if I take the error as delta L, okay, we normally represent error using delta symbol. This is the triangle shape, which is the capital delta. Okay, delta. We call this as delta. Delta L is magnitude of difference between measured value and true value. What is the measured value? Measured value is 0.5 minus difference. True value is 0.51. So the difference is minus 0.01 meter, but we should only consider the magnitude. Magnitude means I should leave the sign. After leaving the sign, so delta L is 0.01 meter. And this is the error in the first reading. Okay. What kind of error is this? This is the absolute error in the first reading. Okay. So here delta L is the absolute error in the first reading, which is 0.01 meter is the error in the first reading. Similarly, what is the error in the second reading? Error in the second reading is 0.02 meter. Error in the third reading 0.00. No error. Okay, third reading has no error. Fourth reading 0.02 meter again is the error, and for the fourth, not the fourth, this is the last one, last reading, and the error in the last reading is 0.04 meter. That is how we get, and all those errors which I am telling are all the absolute errors of each reading. So each reading will have its own absolute error. Okay. So delta L is the absolute error of first reading. Now, how do we represent certain measurement? Certain measurement is always represented as L is equal to the measured value, okay, measured value which is 0.5 plus or minus, okay, the error, measured value plus or minus the error 0.01 meter. This is how we represent the actual value, the complete answer for the first reading. So for the first reading, we should take the, we should write the complete reading like this, okay. It's always L plus or minus delta L. This will give us the complete reading, okay. This is the representation. We will not add them, we will not subtract them mathematically, but this is the representation of error. This is the reading, yes, 0.5 meter, correct. But in this 0.5 meter, we have 0.01 meter of error. So the error can be positive and negative. We don't know. If there is error of 0.01 meter, then the error can be of minus 0.01 meter also. There might be. So the error is, the total representation should be the measured value plus or minus the error. Okay. This is how we will represent the error. And this error delta L itself is absolute error, okay, absolute error, which is the difference of measured value and the true value. Clear? So this is everything about absolute error, and we shall see the next kind of representation, which is very simple. Once we understand this, we can easily understand the next one. The next way of representing errors is relative error. Okay, relative error. See, when I say a certain reading has 0.1 meter error, okay, or 0.1 centimeter error, a certain length measurement, or let me take weight itself. Why only length every time? Say I am measuring something which I don't know, but the error in the measurement of mass that I get, let the error be 1 gram, okay. So if I say 1 gram is the error in my measurement, then what do you think of the kind of measurement that I am doing? You might say yes. So if only 1 gram is the error occurring in the measurement, then you are doing a good kind of measurement. The measurement method, everything is perfect, very good. That's why it's only 1 gram of error. But you are not aware of what kind of measurement or what scale of measurement I am doing. If I am measuring jewels, gold jewels, then a single gram of error will cost me 5,000 rupees. Isn't it? So then the kind of measurement is not good if the measurement is of gold jewels. If I am measuring, say, sugar, then 1 gram error is good, because we measure sugar in kgs, kilograms. So 1 gram error in thousands of grams is a good measurement. 1 gram error in few grams of measurement, because jewels are all measured always in few grams. 1 gram error in few grams of measurement is a bad measurement. So how do we get to know about it, right? So we differentiate it, or we will get the exact kind of measurement, nature of measurement, whether it is good or bad, by taking the ratio of the absolute error and the true value. Okay, so that itself is relative error. We will compare the error with the true value. Okay, so it's the relative error is the ratio of, it's the ratio of absolute error, it's the ratio of absolute error to the true value. Ratio of absolute error to the true value is considered as relative error. Clear? So that is relative error. So the way of representing absolute error was delta L, isn't it? And here we represent delta L as, see, the definition itself says that delta L by L. It's the ratio. In the numerator, we will have the absolute error. If I take the previous example, 0.01 gram is the error which I should keep in the numerator, and L is the true value which I should keep in the denominator. So, delta L by L is the relative error and is expressed as such, delta L by L. Clear? So, that's about relative error, very easy, it is the ratio. Okay. Next is percentage error. Okay. Percentage error, again easy one. See here, when I say relative error, there is a little problem with expressing it, because every time I see the value here is going to be very less, the relative is going to be very less. The value always look like somewhat like 0.01, 0.02, 0.05, 0.001, 0.008. That's how this value look like, the relative error. So, instead of expressing it every time with decimals, we will choose to express the quantity in percentage. The same quantity is expressed in percentage. So, relative error expressed in percentage. So, it's relative error itself, percent, relative error per cent. Cent means 100, per cent. So, relative error per cent, or you can also write this as relative error expressed in percentage is considered as percentage error. Very easy, mathematically it's going to be delta L by L into 100. Okay, delta L by L into 100%. So, now we can say the error is 3%, the error is 2%, the error is 1%, the error is 5%. That's how we can say it's easy to express, isn't it? We make use of all these three errors, way of expressing the errors in mathematical problems, in numerical problems, which we will take later in after the completion of theory. And this is how we represent it. Delta L is simply the difference between measured value and true value. Okay, what is measured value? The reading that we get with actual measurement. What is true value? True value is the given value, standard value. If it is given, that itself is taken. But if it is not given, we should take the mean or average of n readings to get the true value. Okay, and then comes relative error. Relative error is the ratio of absolute error to the true value. True value, we know that error belongs to each measurement. We will take it and get the relative error. And then we have relative error expressed in percentage, which is called percentage error. So, same relative error into 100, so and so percent. That's it. Again, that's about different ways of expressing error mathematically. Okay. Now, we will see with actual structure the actual formulae for different quantities related to absolute error, relative error, percentage error. Okay. Right, let us see about it. Right, now we shall derive the actual formula for mean absolute error, relative error and percentage error of a set of measurement, okay, or set of readings, I can say. Okay, a measurement always involves n number of readings, because if I take one reading, we might get error in it. There might be error in the reading. So, we always go for measuring the same quantity n times. N means any number of times, sometimes only 3 times, sometimes only 5 times, sometimes only 10 times, sometimes 20 times, like that. So, now we shall see the expression for mean absolute error, relative error and percentage error. What is mean absolute error? What we know is absolute error. What is this mean absolute error? Okay. See, what is absolute error? Error is the difference between measured value and the true value. That is absolute error. So, if I have n measurements, all those n measurements will have n absolute errors, isn't it? For first reading, so and so error. For second reading, so and so error. For third reading, so and so error. And if I take the mean of all those errors, mean of all the absolute errors in a reading, in a measurement, okay, mean of all the readings of a measurement is considered as mean absolute error. Okay, mean of all the errors, mean of all the absolute errors, mean of all the absolute errors in a reading is considered to be mean absolute error. Now let A1, A2, A3 be the A1, A2, A3 and so on, AN be the readings of a measurement. How many readings are there? N readings. Okay, readings of a measurement. And now look at this. We have N readings, and we first should get the true value. How to get the true value? True value shall be obtained by taking mean of these readings, isn't it? So, which I can call as A mean. Okay, A mean is equal to A1 plus A2 plus A3 plus so on plus AN divided by N, whole divided by N. This will give me A mean. Okay, so now comes the mathematical part. So these are the readings that I have. Okay, which are the readings? A1, A2, A3, so on, AN. Okay, and now each reading will have its error, isn't it? So error or absolute error of the reading. So see, keep one thing in mind. From now onwards, if I ask what is the error in the measurement, you should ask me again, which error do you want, sir? Do you want the mean error? Do you want the absolute error or the relative error or the percentage error? Okay, that's how you should think. So whenever say error, it's only three types of error which you should give me as the answer, either absolute or relative or percentage. So now absolute error of individual reading. Okay, now each reading will have its own absolute error, isn't it? What is that? That is delta A. Okay, delta A is the error of any reading, of a reading here. So since the measurement belongs to first reading, I can take that as delta A1. Okay, delta A1 is equal to, see what is that error? Error is always the difference in true value, difference between true value and the measured value, right? So delta A1 is, true value is mean value, both are one and the same. True value minus measured value, this is measured value. So delta A1, absolute error of the first reading, is equal to mean value or the true value minus first reading. Getting? Absolute error of first reading is true value minus first reading. Okay. Similarly, we can get the error of the second reading, which I can take as delta A2, which is again A mean minus A2, and delta A3, which is A mean minus A3, error in the third reading, this is error in the third reading, so on. And delta AN, error in the nth reading, is A mean minus AN, nth reading. Okay. So now we have different absolute errors here. Now it's time to get the mean of these errors. Okay, mean of these errors. So that itself is mean absolute error. So mean absolute error, mean of all the absolute errors. Excuse me. So the mean of all these absolute errors itself is considered to be mean absolute error. How does it look like? So it is going to be delta A mean. Okay, mean of all the errors, delta A mean is equal to, what is this delta A mean is equal to? That is equal to delta A1. See, mean of all this, that's it, delta A1 plus delta A2 plus delta A3, so on, plus delta AN whole divided by n. N is the number of measurements or number of readings that we have. So that's it. That is how we get delta A mean. This delta A mean itself is the mean absolute error. Okay. So this expression is important. This is the expression for mean absolute error. How do we get that? We first take the readings, take the mean of the readings, and take the difference of mean with each reading, to get the error in each reading. What error? Absolute error. So we will get the error in each reading, which is delta A1, delta A2, delta A3, and so on. And these are the absolute errors of each reading. Then I'll take the mean of these absolute errors to get the mean absolute error. Clear? Fine. So this is about the expression for mean absolute error. Now the expression for mean relative error. Okay, we will directly take that as relative error many other times. Okay, but it's actually mean relative error. So that is one important expression. Now here I'll write the second important expression for relative error. Okay. So the expression for relative error for this measurement is going to be, see, what is the definition of relative error? Ratio of absolute error to true value. Here we have mean absolute error. So for the entire measurement, of n readings, the relative error is the ratio of delta A mean, okay, ratio of mean absolute error, okay, because it is the relative error is considered for the entire measurement, not for a particular reading. So it is delta A mean by A mean, okay. Delta A mean is mean absolute error, okay. So relative error is the ratio of mean absolute error to the true value, okay, here. So this is again an important expression. Delta A mean by A mean. Now we shall also take the percentage error. Before that, let me complete it by writing relative error. Okay. Relative error is equal to delta A mean by A mean. Okay. And finally, it's about percentage error. Okay. So percentage error for this entire measurement is percentage error is equal to same relative error expressed in percentage. That's it. So it is delta A mean by A mean into 100. Into 100 is the percentage error formula. Okay. So these are the expressions for mean absolute error, relative error, and percentage error. Very important formula, and this is the method which has to be taken when we have set of readings given. Okay, if the set of readings are given for any measurement, and true value shall be obtained first by taking the mean, and then take the absolute errors for each reading, then take the mean of those errors, that itself is mean absolute error, then put that into delta mean absolute error by the original error or the true value, you will get the relative error, then multiply that with the 100 with 100, then you will get the percentage error. Okay. So this is about the errors, different ways of expressing errors in a direct measurement. Okay, we are going to measure it directly and get the error. But many a times, after getting certain readings, certain values, we are supposed to apply those values into mathematical operations. Just as an example, say I want to calculate velocity of an object or speed of a moving body. What and all the factors do I need to calculate? First, I should take the distance traveled. Then I should take the time taken. both this distance measurement and time measurement can have errors in it, isn't it? It's a measurement, so it can have errors. And now, with errors in both the quantities, distance and speed, distance and time, speed will also have error, isn't it? Obviously. But what error or how much error will be coming into speed or speed will have depending on the errors in distance and time, that we should understand, isn't it? So now we shall see the error propagation. Okay, how does error propagate to the other quantity? Okay, in mathematical operations. Which are the mathematical operations? There are so many mathematical operations. The four basic that I am going to consider is addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. Okay. If we have such mathematical operations, then we are going to see the error propagating into the other quantities as follows. Okay. So now the discussion is about error propagation. Error propagation in mathematical operations. Error propagation in mathematical operations. Okay. So now I'll start with the basic operation, simple operation, addition. Okay. First operation that I'm going to consider is addition. So consider that I have a quantity C which is equal to sum of two quantities A and B. Okay. If I have quantity C which is equal to sum of two quantities A and B, and now I am going to measure A and B separately, okay, individually. Like the example that I can take is, say I have a table, okay, and the table is in the rectangle shape. So if I am asked to get the perimeter of the table, okay, perimeter of the table, then I should take the length and breadth. Perimeter is length plus breadth, plus length plus breadth, okay, it's actually 2 times length and breadth. So there sum of length and breadth, okay, sum of length and breadth is an important quantity. I can get error in both length and breadth, which will contribute for the total error in the perimeter, isn't it? So this is one such a situation where we have a quantity C which is dependent on A and B as follows, which is as expressed as sum of A and B. Now what we do is we measure A and we measure B, and we get an error of delta A during the measurement of quantity A, and we get an error of delta B during the measurement of quantity B. In such a situation, error in delta C, error in the value of C, okay, or I can say error in the final value or error in the quantity C, final quantity C shall be taken as follows. See, I should always express C as C plus or minus delta C. Okay, this is after measuring. This is ideal situation or theoretical. This is what we get after actual measurement. C plus or minus delta C is the actual way of expressing after practical measurement. And for A, it is going to be A plus or minus delta A, okay, plus for B, it is going to be B plus or minus delta B. Okay, this is how we represent it, right? Even in the last, when we take up, when we discuss the mathematical way or of expressing absolute error, relative error and percentage error, there it was the same way. This is how we should keep the final answer. Okay, this is the final answer shall be kept for the previous derivation is A mean plus or minus delta A mean. Okay, following? A mean plus or minus delta A mean is the expression or is the way of putting the complete reading. Complete reading should be kept in that way. Understood? A mean plus or minus delta A mean. Okay, so now I can rearrange these things. Before that, delta C, C plus or minus delta C is A. I'll regroup it. This will become A plus B plus or minus delta A plus or minus delta B. And now you see, here I have C and here I have A plus B. A plus B is equal to C. That is what the theory says, isn't it? So this C and A plus B will get cancelled because they are equal. And hence we have the error delta C is equal to plus or minus delta A plus or minus delta B. Okay, clear? So this is about delta C, the expression of delta C. But what is the maximum error that we can get? We always look for the maximum error. Okay, say if I am measuring using 1 meter length and getting 1 centimeter error, then 100 plus or minus 1 centimeter is the way of expressing. The error that I can get may be 0.5 centimeter, 0.2 centimeter, 0.5, 0.8, 0.9 centimeter, but I always prefer to take the maximum error possible. So the maximum error possible is 1 centimeter, that is why I kept it there. Here the maximum error possible is the maximum error in delta A and the maximum error in delta B. Sum of them is delta C is equal to delta A plus delta B. So delta A plus delta B is the maximum error possible from both the measurements. Okay, I should always take the maximum possible error. And whatever the real error that we get, it will always be lesser than that maximum value. Okay, so that is why we should take the delta C equal to delta A plus delta B, and this is the expression for error for the quantity which is equal to sum of two quantities, sum A and B. Now for subtraction, the same rule follows. Okay, even for the same subtraction, for subtraction, say C is equal to A minus B this time. Even though the quantities are getting subtracted, their errors will always get added. Okay, the quantities might be getting subtracted, but the errors will get added with each other. So when we have C is equal to A minus B, delta C will be delta A minus, not minus, sorry, it is delta plus delta B itself. Okay, even for subtraction, the error is delta A plus delta B, because error with another error will not decrease the error. Error with the other error will always increase the error, isn't it? Say you have headache and stomach pain. Okay, if you have too much headache, will that decrease the stomach pain? No, it's always two different, the quantities may be two different one, but the errors will always add up. Okay, even if the quantities are subtracting, the errors in the quantities always add up, and this is the expression for error in the quantity C when A and B are getting subtracted. Clear? So this is about for subtraction. Now moving ahead, if I take multiplication, okay, multiplication is somewhat like we will have C is equal to A into B, right? AB. How should I express C? We all know that I should express C as, when it comes to actual measurement, I should express C as C plus or minus delta C, right? How should I express A? A should be expressed as A plus or minus delta A, and B should be expressed as B plus or minus delta B into, okay, it's the product of A plus delta A and B plus delta B, okay, that is the product which should be considered. And now here we have C plus or minus delta C is equal to, let me multiply them, A into B, AB, and plus or minus A into delta B, okay, plus or minus delta A into B, which I can call as B into delta A, and plus or minus delta A delta B. Okay, this is the expanded form of the expression or the equation. And now all the quantities are fine, A, B, A plus A delta B, B delta A plus or minus delta A delta B. Look at this quantity delta A delta B. See, delta A is the small error in A, delta B is again a small error in B. So both delta A and delta B are small quantities, and the product of those two small quantities, okay, product of two small quantities will be very small value, very small value, okay. So delta A, product of them, delta A, delta B, product is going to be nearly equal to 0. It's going to be very less value, okay, very less. I can take this as delta A, delta B is very much less than these values, okay, these values. So I can neglect that value, okay. The best way to represent will be delta A, delta B is very much less than AB, the product AB. So when we have such quantity which is very less in the equation, we can neglect it, okay. So I will neglect this part and I will be left with C plus or minus delta C is equal to AB plus or minus A delta B plus or minus B delta A. And now look, what is C equal to? C equal to AB. So AB and C will get cancelled. And here we are left with delta C is equal to A delta B plus, okay, yeah, you know that we always take the maximum possible error. So it is plus B delta A. Now dividing the entire equation by AB, okay, dividing by AB, dividing the entire equation both LHS and RHS by AB, we will get delta C by AB is equal to A delta B by AB plus B delta A by AB. Now you see few terms gets cancelled, A and A gets cancelled, B and B gets cancelled, and finally we will be left with an expression delta. Okay, before I go for the final expression, what is the AB equal to? AB is equal to C, right? So we will get delta C by C. Instead of AB, I will write C itself. Delta C by C is equal to A got cancelled, delta B by B plus delta A by A. Okay. So this is the final error for multiplication operation of two measured quantities. Okay, clear? So when we are multiplying, it's the relative error which will get added. Okay, so when it is addition and subtraction, it's the absolute error which will get added. Look at this, what are these? Delta C by C, it's the relative error in quantity C. Delta B by B, relative error in quantity B. Delta A by A, relative error in quantity A. And now, not only for multiplication, both for even for the division operation, the error is going to be, okay, which means for say when we have C is equal to A by B, if we have something like C is equal to A by B, then delta C by C is again going to be simply delta A by A plus delta B by B. Okay. So absolute errors add up when it comes to addition and subtraction. Relative errors add up when it comes to multiplication and division. Clear? So that is about, keep this in mind, okay, it's relative error which will get added up when we are discussing about relative, when we are taking the operations of multiplication and division, relative errors. And when we have addition and subtraction, it's simply the absolute error which will get added. Okay, it's always addition of errors. Okay, keep that in mind. And one more operation finally that I wish to take is, if I have something like C is equal to A to the power of K, A raised to K, if this is the kind of mathematical operation that we have. If I am measuring the quantity A, okay, if I am measuring the quantity A and C is the quantity whose error has to be expressed in terms of A, then delta C by C becomes equal to K into delta A by A. Okay. Are you thinking how do we get this? So, very simple. C is equal to A to the power of K can also be written as A to the power of K is A into A into A into A K times, right? We should multiply A K times to get A to the power of K. Now, each A will have delta A by A amount of error, relative error. From this, we got delta A by A plus product, no, product of all those. So, again delta A by A plus, again delta A by A plus, again delta A by A. How many times? K times. K values of quantity A will give us K number of errors, relative errors, and hence delta C by C is equal to K into delta A by A when we have C is equal to A to the power of K. Okay, this is one more operation, very important. And based on these propagation techniques, in the next class, in the next session, we will take few problems. Thank you.